Yay, we're live. Woo! It's a Friday. Yes, we're an hour earlier. It's 1 o'clock GMT plus one. Calling from Ireland, and we have myself and Lisa Gibbons. We run Blocks and Frocks every Friday, and we're delighted to welcome fellow Irish woman Aileen Carville, who is the CEO and founder of Skimp, and who was earlier seen wearing an AR crown. So she's queen for today. Aileen, sorry, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Delighted to be here on Blocks and Frocks.
So we are going to find out all about you because you're fashion tech, fashion queen. You are very well known actually all in across Europe, and less so here. The fashion sometimes you work mostly abroad, don't you? You're mostly Paris and or Milan, those exotic places. So tell me a bit about your background and how you got into fashion tech.
Yes, okay. So started off doing a history of art degree and art criticism, and moved into visual culture, and then had this burning desire to kind of work for myself along the way, or kind of set up a business. So it was definitely an entrepreneurial streak there at a very early stage. But I ended up moving to London, kind of wandered into fashion PR and really liked it. Now, it really is first rung sort of when you work your way up in the fashion industry, but met similar types of people and really enjoyed it. So I stayed in London for a couple of years working at one of the biggest PR agencies there that actually represented John Rush at the time. Who was, this is circa 1996, 97. And then moved on to Paul Smith briefly, and then decided to move back to Dublin, thinking I was going to set up a business of some description, not a fashion business. So I went to Smurfit, did a diploma in entrepreneurial studies, and then
Well, that's a good course, is it? I've
it
heard
was,
good things about it.
yes, of course, in Smurfit out in UCD. So it's very kind of, it was good to do. I kind of thought I had to do it for some reason, but no regrets. And then pretty much when that was over, I was deciding to move back to London because, having lived there, it was probably more sort of creative kind of sort of outlets for somebody like myself. And but anyway, at that time, I suppose an opportunity arose at John Washa. They were looking for somebody to cover the interim managing director who's going on maternity leave, and I had a huge amount of experience working at Fashion Week and kind of running some of the shows with the agency I worked with. So I was good fit to help them during that time, and I ended up, John created a kind of a whole new role for me, bringing the wholesale and PR back in house, and I ended up staying there for 12 years.
Wow.
Wow.
What's he
Wow.
like to work with then? It was an amazing to work with such a big brand and a powerful man.
Yeah, it was great. He's his business is now, he's retired from the industry, but he had a really long a long lifespan in the industry, winning Fashion Designer of the Year award back in London, British Fashion Designer of the Year award, and really, a very significant person in the fashion industry here in Ireland. He wasn't Irish, but he really reminded people of craft and handcrafted detail that potentially we were trying to move into kind of mass market and forget about our indigenous crafts. So I think he shone a light on a lot of that for future designers and craft makers. But yeah, it was a great team. It was very kind of outward looking. We kind of showed at London Fashion Week and sold collections at Paris Fashion Week, Pitti in Milan, or Pitti in Florence, and also in Milan. So really great place to work in.
May I ask the question, what it's like, what is it like to work at a fashion week? What kind of happens? Is this all non-stop shows and
Okay, so it happens twice a year if you're on schedule. September time, we present the spring summer collections, and in February you present the winter collections. And what happens, you work with a council, a fashion council. So ours was the British Fashion Council because we showed on schedule there. You wait for them to get the schedule. It's quite political. Really, because it's more industry. It used to be much more closed off just to industry, press and buyers. But yeah, you can plan a lot from Dublin or wherever you might be. But then when you get over to London, that's when it isn't mayhem, it's organised. But you do the casting for models, backstage, the styling, hair, makeup, tests. It's a lot of moving parts to get 15 minutes of perfection. And I suppose that 15 minutes of perfection, when I work in Fash Tech, I remind people in technology that humans do a great job on being perfectionists and can synchronize moving parts so brilliantly well that, and we're living in a particular stage where people are really trying to replicate kind of IRL experiences. And my sort of argument is that some experiences don't need to be replicated. They're so perfect the way they are as human entities, and that if you're going to do something else
That's interesting. Yeah, you don't have to copy. Yeah.
And did you go to the Decentraland, the fashion week in Decentraland in the? Okay.
Yes.
What's your feedback? I went as well, and I'd be interested to hear your take on it.
Yeah. So look, at Decentraland, it's a particular type of metaverse. It's quite naive. The characters. It's very accessible for developers and for people to go in and kind of adopt an avatar. So I suppose it was kind of a really kind of easy place to maybe host a sort of metaverse fashion week. For me, it was more, I would define it as a week of fashion in metaverse. I don't really believe it was metaverse fashion week, but nevertheless, we had a couple of partners who were working there with the big brands. We did try to bring some brands in, and just, they wanted to see how it was going to play out first before committing to it. So there's still a bit of resistance. I think trying to accessing it was a problem for people. There were a few teething problems. Some of the NFTs sort of, trying to purchase things that didn't always work, even though there were things in place to do that. But overall, I think it was good to do it, and for who weren't used to a fashion week to understand how all of these moving parts that we tried to pull together. So definitely, I think there will be other fashion weeks happening elsewhere.
Okay, so yeah, so the online is not quite equaling the real world chaos. And
yeah, like if you've worked in, it's very seductive, fashion, that adrenaline, like it's, you're an adrenaline junkie if you're in the fashion industry, because it doesn't give you much else. It gives you a lot of headaches and everything. No, it's a great industry to work in, and it is, it is about perfection. It's about getting the best people involved in your brand for 15 minutes. Like, that's ultimately. And then that 15 minutes is your marketing and revenue stream for the next 6 months, because then you go back in again and do it all again. For me, looking at how brands want to represent themselves in the metaverse and in Web3, first of all, we tell them to do small steps, and they don't want to have much risk. I can see that. They can't afford to have much exposure with their brand moving into another sort of vertical, you could say, or channel. So they have to take smaller steps, and for us, we advocate sort of doing something that they can't achieve in the other channels, and what that might be. So it's a really interesting place. It's getting really brave brands that will at least take those initial steps. And yeah, like so that's what we do on one side of our business.
And for the brands that have built from Web3, I mean, for me, I'll give you an example. I went to a poker tournament in a metaverse, and I was asked in order to enter the poker tournament or to be allowed on one of the tables. I shouldn't be promoting gambling, I'm not, but I just wanted to try it out. And it was market research, and they asked me to buy a wearable to get in and to buy. But when I looked at the wearables that they were offering, I was just really disappointed. It was old school kind of jackets, blazer jackets, and navy, black, and white were the main colors. And I wanted, like, obviously, I don't know, I like colors, so red or vibrant pink, whatever. Would you help the existing brands in it? Because I think that could be quite fun. I'd love to do that, you know.
So there are two things that are happening. Brands per se are moving in. So you've got brands who are not fashion, but brands that are fashion. And I think both of them have the same problem at the moment. What has kind of emerged over the last 12 months and what has been happening before the metaverse became a place that they could actually publish content into, we had this new movement of digital garments that, virtual 3D garments that could be worn on hollow avatars or whatever the case was. And at pre-COVID really breaking, we had already worked on, so we do virtual showrooms, and for us it's very important that brands are able to represent the collection in a very high fidelity, intuitive way for buyers to come in and make a selection, understand the drape and fit. And we would have used AR and holograms for this. They're on their laptop, and they can actually bring up a hologram pretty much in front of on their laptop and see the drape and fit of the look or whatever. So during at this time, I had decided that we would need 3D products. We have to be able to optimize 3D products as a sort of content class onto the system, where supply chains had collapsed and people couldn't get sampling done. So we were then advocating that we would make the connection with houses such as the Fabricant, which is a digital only house, where the samples be made up, the avatars made up, etc. And that could be part of their kind of content assortment through the brand. So this is where the Fabricant kind of were the genesis of this sort of movement. And we see this more prevalent now in the metaverse. However, there are lots of different, just like in fashion, you've got high, low, affordable, quirky, whatever it is. Digital fashion has its own subcultures as well, or kind of categories as well. And this is something that's becoming more apparent, especially to somebody like me who really works in the business and can see these sort of signifiers of what they actually might be doing or what they might do. So for a brand moving in using 3D wearables, I think it's a really great move. For instance, we work with InRift in Paris, who are a 3D wearable company and create 3D wearables. And they recently did something they have done it for the forthcoming Grand Prix in Paris, in France, the Grand Prix in Formula One in Paris, where they commissioned InRift to create 3D wearables of jackets, collectible jackets. And it was also, using the wearable as a proof of attendance protocol for the event. So it becomes the ticket stub. But there's another application of the avatar, another application of the NFT wearable, which means that it will give them access potentially to the pit stop if they buy the kind of tier off or the scarcity tier. You're able to kind of work in and weave in really interesting experiences for the buyer, collector, whatever it is. And Formula One is not a fashion brand. The brands that I work with are fashion brands, but they don't necessarily see themselves in this sort of entertainment novelty fashion that has emerged. They are like looking at the metaverse going, where do I see myself in there? Because I don't see myself as entertainment. I don't see myself as but then they're kind of forcing themselves maybe through, it's a peg and a square, whatever the saying is, that maybe they're trying these things to see what the customer ultimately would consume.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of experimentation going on right now. But again, technologists don't realize that, again, there's risk involved. A brand spends so much money on other channels that are super important and yielding good revenue, and their brand takes years to establish, the look, the feel, who's following it, all the rest. That maybe one bad strategy or move into Web3 could be very damaging for it. So That's why they're very powerful. And I think people coming from other industries, gaming especially, and technology, don't understand that fashion is about longevity. And even though it's fast-paced and trend-driven, but it is about having an established name at the back of all of that.
I suppose you said start earlier on. You were saying that you have 2 marketing shots every year. It's absolute case for 15 minutes of perfection. So that's a lot of pressure to put 6 months into your 15 minutes and then go at it again. So you're right. I think most people, technologists, don't really have that same idea of the brand being quite so important. It's so do you think that that'll slow up fashion coming into the metaverse, or it's just more cautious coming in?
Well, I think it's starting to speed up now. It was initially seen as kind of gamers doing fashion. And I think what's happened now, it's turned around a bit, and it's fashion doing the metaverse. And I think that's really good. Fashion people are incredibly creative, and sometimes gamers don't give them the benefit of thinking that way. Fashion people are the most obvious creative people, because we wear clothes all the day. Everybody makes a decision about how they're going to put something together on a very basic level. So, and it's also, fashion is a great vehicle for innovation. It's easy to consume. It's easy to understand. It's universal. It doesn't need any language. Yes, there are sort of parameters around lengths of skirts and dresses, or showing, midriffs or whatever in cultures, but essentially it is a very kind of easily consumed, vertical for everybody. Oh yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it would be interesting to see, like you were saying there, it's easy to consume, and it's easy to show your personality and show the creative side of yourself through the fashion you wear. But when I go into the metaverse, I wear completely different things to what I would wear normally. I'm very conservative. Yeah. I'm very, I'd like to think, I'm very plain in real life. But when I go in there, I want to experiment. I want to wear my hair on the top of my head. I want to wear pink nails. I want to wear bracelets, loads of jewelry that I don't wear at all. I've no, I don't even have my ears pierced and stuff. So it gives me a chance to kind of express myself in a very different way. And I think for me, with what Zara brought out a collection, I just wrote about it a few weeks ago. I don't know, did you see it? But it's a collection of everything in store is virtual. So what the in-store collection was the same as the virtual collection. You just get a digital version, a digital NFT version of what you buy in store. And for me, my reflection on that, not being the journalist just writing about the news, my reflection on it is that doesn't really do it for me, because I want completely opposite to what I would buy in store. So I just wonder, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, definitely. I think about it all the time. I really do. I swear to God. So what you're talking about is like digital twinning. So this is like a outfit or look that is completely twinned in the metaverse, and it looks and feels exactly the same way. So yes, I will say that I have a guilty pleasure of like dressing up in metaverse here. I really do. I can't believe how much fun it is. It is super liberating. I am kind of black orientated. I don't revolve my wardrobe a huge amount. I like nice things, but I'm not an impulsive buyer. I don't have a ton of stuff. I buy things because I have to love them, and I like how they're made. But platforms such as DressX, so DressX is sort of...
I was thinking of that one actually as well, in Fabricant.
Yeah, so the DressX is particularly good because what that does, it's using AR filters, so it's very kind of transportable. You can be anywhere. You can wear it anywhere. So what they do, they have a cohort of designers that create 3D, and these are created into filters, so that then you can explore them on the app, see how you look, take photographs, and then you can purchase them. So if we're talking on the phone, if I had, we can talk to each other on the phone. I can wear my crown, whatever the case might be. But I've worn some really weird stuff, but it feels great because you know what? Everything fits you. There's none of this like, yeah. So I can't tell you, like for somebody who's very fashion centric and understands, all of the aspects of, how expensive it is, how difficult it is to get, something beautiful made. Expensive, like very time consuming or whatever. So I think what you've just said there Lisa, is what I was kind of saying earlier, that this sort of these different kind of categories of virtual fashion that are emerging: utility, twinning, fun, entertainment, novelty, and I think fashion will find a blend of these different things happening that's going to suit the brand and what they want to do with the brand.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think, oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, so like they different brands will use different aspects to, or try different ways of doing it, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said last year, that not all brands should probably move into the metaverse. Like, really, why should H&M be in there, or even Zara for that matter? What, I have no idea. As a business proposition that hikes the value part of the offering, which is really there for people who can't afford expensive clothes, and they've really forced consumerism in that area. And I don't think people really talk about that kind of forced consumerism a lot. And it's called fast fashion, but for me, it's something else. So if H&M and Zara are moving into the metaverse, they have to be doing something really great, not flogging cheap clothes, and they're not.
Agreed. I agree.
What about all the footwear companies, the brands that are moving in?
Yes, so I think so Artifact with Nike, I think that was fantastic. I absolutely think Benoit Pagotto and the team at Artifact are really, what they did, they redefined what AR and kind of try-ons and sort of projection could really, in a very sublime way. It's fantastic. It's impeccable, and it will go down in history as being sort of a really kind of groundbreaking drop of NFTs. So 651 sneakers sold in what was it, 3 minutes or something like that, or 7 minutes for 3 million, whatever. I can't remember. And so I think, again, sneakers, everybody wears them. It's a massive customer base. I think it was really clever to start with sneakers, first of all. Like, every household probably has about 10 pairs of sneakers if you owned up to it, when you think about that. And,
Easily.
And, and that's just, think about the people who just wear sneakers all the time for good sport, whatever it is, so shoes are really, they're, again, you're not going to wear these virtual shoes. They don't, the laces don't break or snap, or, there's loads of things, loads of benefits. You can't actually do anything with it just yet. But what other, I suppose, Adidas. I suppose what's happening at the moment, these big footwear brands are doing interesting collabs with brands that really see the future of their customer, how their customer is going to consume and want to wear it. So we're not going to necessarily wear, in my mind, potentially we're all going to wear grey or white, because if we're going to wear these, kind of smart glasses, our life is going to be fulfilled with embellishments that are going to play out as filters, and we just have to have a very neutral palette on a day-to-day basis. Potentially, we don't know, but I've been saying that for a while.
That's an interesting thought. So we'll all be wearing plain and the glasses, but that means that the person who's looking at you puts the color on you or not.
Well, it could be that. Well, it could be, exactly. I don't know how that's where that interoperability is going to really take hold, where this sort of, I'm Aileen, I've got my identity, and I'm wearing this today. And when you see me, the projection of me, you see what I've decided to wear myself. And I think it would probably still be very autonomous. I'm in charge of what I see, or what people see of me, I suppose. But I think there are so many things moving very fast at the same time. So you've got avatars, you've got the glasses, you've got VR, you've got all of these different ways of looking at ourselves and projecting ourselves and looking, it's all, there's just so much to get your head around. I suppose as a brand, but also people individually, how they what are they going to go for? Are they going to go for everything? But look, that's why everybody's experimenting like crazy at the moment.
That's true. Experimentation is the word, isn't it?
Yeah.
And our friend Irina, I'll give Irina a little shout out. She's head of Metaverse for Unique Network, but she mentioned on a previous show with us that it's a great testing ground, the Metaverse in general, for anything. But she was talking in relation to sustainability. So if you wanted to test how something would grow in a certain environment, or in terms of landscaping, how something would look in a different environment, that you could just have the ability to play virtually. And I think that could be very, very inspiring for I call them artists, but creators, fashion creators, people that want to experiment with design,
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the metaverse, so you can simulate these things, and I think designers are very good at almost getting ideas to a certain point anyway that they can commercialize. But I think there's kind of incubators in the metaverse. But I think that we shouldn't put all of our activity into the metaverse. There's still things that you should just do in your studio and whatever. But look at it. The metaverse is so many. For instance, if you're going to create a line that is sustainable or ethically centric, that you could almost test designs as kind of you're showing them, showcasing them as 3D wearables, see how they're consumed. Are they going to be consumed? And then if they are, you can mint them then. And by minting them, if the consumer wants to just buy the 3D wearable as a future avatar outfit, or they can redeem it with a physical item that's available in the store or kind of made to order, if whatever the model the brand is offering at that time. But like there are loads of just before COVID, we saw lots of kind of new manufacturing models coming in. Nearshore was a big thing about trying to get more, Brexit kind of brought, a huge amount of emphasis on all of that when they were trying to regroup and be more sort of self-contained as an island manufacturing wise. But, Portugal, Turkey, all of these like traditionally really good kind of manufacturing hubs for fashion. It's
Can I just say that's just that last paragraph needs to be sent to a lot of brands. you gave a really good tips in that paragraph. I was like trying to take note. There's steps from Aileen. Step 1, this is what you do. Step 2, step 3.
Oh, very good.
Tell me about the Skimp that you're the co-founder. What is that, and how does that interact with the metaverse?
Yes, so Skimp started off. I built Skimp and designed it from my own experience working in luxury wholesale. So again, going twice a year, buyers fly in from all over the world to Paris, Milan, and New York, London, whatever, and they really have 6 days per city to meet all of their brands and do the orders, etc. So what used to happen, bottleneck, etc., pen and paper, no data, nothing. It was really high risk because if you missed a buyer or a buyer missed you, that you were trying your best to convert that order afterwards, because you've got your targets and you're again, you've only got a small window. So what we used to do, or what I used to do, if we missed anybody, we would try and pull all of this information in a very intuitive way, like this is the image, this is the elements in it, this is how much, etc. Sounds easy enough, but that's not actually how content is pulled together. When it's very beautiful content to start off with, it doesn't have that functionality, you could say. So that's what I used to do, pull all that together, because what you require to do is go, I understand that, yes, and hopefully you've written the order and it's all good. So when I went about designing Skimp, it had to have all of those elements, that high fidelity content in there, because that's how buyers expect to see beautiful fashion. If it's really poor, they're going, oh, they've dropped the standard a bit, I don't trust it, it's all about gut feeling. There's no, there is a science in there, but it really is gut. It's about somebody buying a piece of art. At the end of the day, you've got the market dictating stuff, but if you don't absolutely love it in your gut, you're going to pass it. So the same thing applies. So when I built it, The tech team built it when I was designing it. It had to bring all of these high fidelity sort of assets into a very kind of one area where the product was, the product and associating the product content was pretty much the nuts and bolts of the database. So when the buyer went in, they never got lost. The product was always first and foremost, or the look, so it was very much applicable in the way a buyer would expect to go. If you were anticipating the next question, well, what else is in that fabric group? What else is in that color? Well, you're not asking that. It's just all intuitively clicked in. We did the AR, VR, we did the augmented reality where we augmented the fit model that would always travel with me on these campaigns. So you're in a showroom in Avenue Montaigne and beautiful salon, and you have a gorgeous fit model because buyers want to see what it looks like. It's not about the model, but the model, their collections are mostly made up in sample size, which is size 8, because they're normally on the runway show as well. So you're not going to duplicate, it's too much money. So you're bringing over fit models there. You've got your big buyers in and they want to see what it looks like. Video's there, but So what I decided to do was, okay, if I'm doing a virtual showroom, I really want it to be virtual. You can do everything online, but we will augment the fit model and the kind of show per se. So we created the first ever holograms that were ever used at London and Paris Fashion Week for buyers and for press. So it meant that the buyer could come in, they could use the iPad or the iPhone, and it was as if the model was just like walking in front of them. They actually couldn't believe it. It was choreographed by me. We used a massive green screen studio, but it was the choreography that the model kind of moved subtly. It wasn't like pacing up and down and jumping around the place, as if they were just standing there, like in the showroom. You're only doing subtle moves. It's not like big twirls and stuff like that. So really, they loved it. They really could understand the proportions, the drape, the fit, the silhouette, all of these things that are super important making good commercial decisions. So we brought those. So that was my idea of a virtual showroom, using augmented reality with a really good workflow in terms of putting an order in and putting the content together. So with the holograms, we then created QR codes. So when the brand was, or the buyer was on the system, the QR code would also come up as part of the content, and they could just play out the hologram on their phone if they were
Love that.
not beside me, just play out the hologram right on their laptop and go, okay, I actually see how big that bag is on the model. And like, it would literally just play out in front of them on their desk, like a little person. Darby would be in the room. If anybody remembers that movie. But similar to that.
The hologram wasn't actually on the screen. It was actually a hologram, like there.
It was in the screen, but when you're looking at it, it's volumetric capture. It's like absolutely looks as if it's absolutely there in front of you. That it has a presence. It actually does feel as if it has a presence.
Wow.
And it really does move around. If it's choreographed the right way, the buyer knows when it's going to. There's a way of displaying this sort of thing. So that was really great. We also, I suppose, not to kind of, what we also did, which was very different. We created dashboards for the brand, and also if it was a multi-brand showroom. So this is where they would have more than one brand in there. So potentially 20 to 50 brands. And what that allowed, that was the first time a virtual showroom could actually have that scope. So ours is a single-tenanted platform. So if you own a virtual showroom, that's your showroom and yours alone. But with a multi-brand showroom, it's the virtual showroom the multi-brand showroom owns the showroom, but you can have as many brands in there as you want.
That's interesting.
So the dashboards enabled a mono brand to go in and look at the best customers, the top performing style, top performing sort of your sales across a few different currencies. Also, we covered a lot of online blind spots, such as who's in and what did they actually look at. So you could see,
we were tracking what they were looking at.
And they actually only looked at 2 collections. So why did they look at the rest? So what that did, that gave the sales team more sort of insights and kind of call to action to go, look, you were in yesterday, it was great, we missed you, do you want to do a call now? Want to talk you through the 10 other collections you didn't see, or whatever the case is. Or you could see that you could actually go in and look at the orders that they had provisionally put together. And, you know, there's a whole kind of communication piece that was happening within the system. So it was very quick and responsive and great. Just before COVID, we had, I think, you know, I've done a couple of accelerators. So did NDRC here in Dublin, which was really great. For me, that was like the Trinity College of accelerators here in Ireland. I really had to get on it. I know that sounds, but it really was. I kind of felt I had to get on it. It was kind of tech agnostic, and fashion tech needed to be in there, and I was going to be that person. I wanted to be in there. Then we got on to Fashion Tech, started bootcamp Fashion Tech in Milan, and that was the first accelerator of its type in Italy for specifically these Milanese, you know, monolithic fashion brands, and the big partners there were Prada, Stone Island, Diesel, Valentino, you know, all of the big hitters who are really looking at digitizing, and they wanted startups like ours to really help them understand what that process might be. Like, I can't tell you, sometimes I kind of think that those accelerators are almost like kind of C-suite sort of graduate courses for C-suite, you know, kind of people or in those positions. Because they really do get a very kind of clear understanding as to what the trends are and what the problems are very, very quickly, because that's what we're trying to fix. And maybe they're not close to the problems that they have themselves in their own business or whatever it is. So that was really good, because what we were able to do was really get under the hood with a lot of their kind of supply chain. And then when COVID happened, we really got, you know, warts and all, like the Band-Aid literally was pulled off, which was incredible, because these brands are so closeted about how they operate. They're very competitive. And we were able to get in there and really understand what was happening. We were very close. We were the only startup that really got very close to Prada with their Churches brand, which is a particular brand. And we built out sort of the simulated virtual showroom for them, plus churches, etc. So it was really, really good. They were really, we also worked with their enterprise resource planning technology company called Data Group in Stealth. So again, that's where we would fit in between both of those sort of parties, the brand and then the ERP system with the virtual showroom, kind of feeding and pushing and pulling content and data in between the two. So I suppose what COVID did, we were already, I suppose, to bring you up to date where Skimp is now in NFTs, that was the initial question. Our job, we created this dam, which we already had an uploading process on Skimp, but for me, it was I was using it all the time. I was, oh my God, I'm going to go crazy if you don't speed this thing up. So we did it thinking this will help the brands put the collection together. They normally have to do something like this for other virtual showrooms, which is just put it on an Excel file, a CSV file with, you know, but on our system, we weren't just uploading the CSV file directly into a virtual showroom. We were uploading it to a DAM, which allowed them to curate it. And once it was in the DAM, you could actually change prices, add another swatch, deactivate things, you know, kind of drag and drop things. It was really great. We also added in AR, VR content, so you could add in that content if you had it. And we also added in a number of video kind of screens if you needed it, but also significantly the AR URLs. If you had your URL of the product, you could put it in and associate it. Instead of it just sitting in limbo, which most URLs of AR happen to be, we could associate it directly to other static products within the system. And even with some of the AR companies that we work with, and we show they're going, this is super fast. It's a really fast system. So out of all of that, the dam of Skimp is kind of the real cog of where Skimp is going now. And because we had to learn, because we've been showing brands how to really transform their company with digital, kind of, yes, and digital transformation, but really kind of transition their company with technology, understanding that they've got Web 2 commitments and investment, but looking at, okay, we've also got another opportunity here with Web 3. So the DAM essentially is this portal. It's a 3D digital asset management piece that is Skimp ready now. And you sit between the brand and 3D creators and Metaverse, Web3 publishers, Web2 publishers. So we're really this kind of integral utility that is, really managing the digital assets that a brand would create and curate within the DAM, and then decide when it's going to publish and rotate, and then look at some metrics around that. So that's what Skimp does. On a side, kind of a platform that was kind of born out of recent sort of requests and inquiries, and it didn't live within Skimp, so we have started Metaporte, which is a platform.
So Metaporte.
Yeah,
it's a great name.
Metaporte. Yeah, lovely.
Dedicated to Web3 NFT strategies, where we bring in our partners who can deliver the kind of NFT APIs or marketplaces. We also bring in our 3D creators, and we do a full kind of end-to-end sort of strategy for them, whether it's digital twinning at the moment or moving into something much more elaborate. So I will say that we've just been offered, we've been invited actually to do a really exciting collaboration with an AR/VR company in Paris who actually do all of the VR retail for LVMH, and they've asked me to actually create a new meta space for them,
Wow.
which is going to be launched at La Viva Tech, with part of the LVMH pavilion. So that just happened this week.
So you're creating a metaverse, actually creating a metaverse.
I'm curating a metaverse flagship for this company. It's not a brand, it's actually another tech company. So what I'm seeing is that more tech companies are actually coming to me, knowing that we have this tech in the DAM, but also our relationships and understanding of how brands need and could move in. Instead of forcing them in,
yes.
Our job has been, unbeknownst to us, the team and myself, that it hasn't always been easy going, God, what the resistance is incredible, but we've always stayed close to the problem. We've always stayed close to the buyers. We've also stayed so close to the brands and seeing their challenges all the time. And I think our job has been really helping them transition from where they were. Like, we've made Web3 more understandable for them. That's been our job, to help them move into this new dimension. And we've been doing it for the last 4 years, like really getting the tools ready, promoting 3D, virtual kind of products and twinning, but really understanding the value in their craft and in their process and in the real life sort of the actual IRL artifacts that will continue to exist for now, not all of them.
Well, I suppose
So
people have to be
exciting.
dressed, don't they, in the metaverse? We were talking recently about Liberland, that it's a micronation that launched its own country in the metaverse, and it's backed by the architects Zara Saheed, which is a very famous group. But and the thought there was that the metaverse has to be designed by architects, not just by devs. But the same way, people in the metaverse have to be dressed by fashion. So fashion is going to be very important going forward into the future.
Oh, totally. But I actually feel that what I think is that the metaverse is going to be a myriad of different types of metaverse. Like, we know that already exists, but I really feel that Zaha Hadid's architectural firm are really futuristic and really kind of the Le Corbusier of today. And I think that Decentraland is a certain type, it's a genre, and I think things will happen in that metaverse because it's applications will suit that sort of avatar and how it works. You've got Matrix World, where it's probably going to be much more kind of hyper real, a bit more dramatic, more gaming, and that's what's going to happen in there. And then you might have OVR, who are really good at avatars, very hyper realistic synthetic avatars, and potentially that's where we're going to go and see our doctor and have our medical avatar there. So I think that we're going to have several personas live in different metaverse that do different things for us. And yes, the quest is how are we going to dress in each of those. So I think fashion is going to, whether it's a medical garment or I want, so it really, fashion go everywhere. But for me, we're not just about fashion. We're about sports, merchandise. We're about events, fine jewelry, artwork. I know, lots of other kind of, lots of other interesting things that interest me as well.
You have to get I'm getting excited about my wardrobe. I was like, okay, I have to have several different avatars and several different outfits for several. You do it in real life as well when you go away, when you
yes,
they all fit. Yeah, and I can change the size of my head. But it reminds me of when I went away. I went to Cannes a few years ago, and for a few days, and I just immediately when you think of Cannes, you're like, ooh, I need to dress like, ooh, I need to like have something high end or have something really fancy or whatever. So you bring a different style of wardrobe than you would when you're going to a sports game or a stadium. So I'm hoping that will happen in the metaverses as well. I know we don't need to spend all of our time there, but the time that we do spend there, I think should be fun, and we should be playing with it at the moment. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah, same thing.
So excited for you, Aileen. This has been really, really interesting and inspiring.
Oh, thank you so much. It's great to be here, and it's fantastic, a great forum, and I can't wait to join in and listen to. I did listen back to some of the previous speakers, so it was really great. It's fantastic.
We're only getting started.
Yeah, this is just we're doing a bit for Web3 women.
Brilliant.
And now it'll be very glamorous Web3 women. And not look at me, my hoodies. I've got holes in the sleeve and the elbows. I've just discovered. I need a makeover. What do you think, Lisa?
There we go. Makeovers in the metaverse. That's the next thing. Makeovers in the metaverse.
Yeah. It's up somewhere, Gillian. Don't worry about it. Somebody's rocking holes and stuff like that, and don't worry about it.
You got holes in jeans. Hole on this side as well. Oh dear. I've also got very pooky elbows, or it's actually a very old hoodie. I think that's more good value for much. So it's brilliant. Look, I see some notes there. We're saying handy for planning outfits for upcoming social events. Yes, it definitely would, and they all fit. That's what I'm just saying. I can wear whatever I like, and it'll look beautiful on me. Size 8. I wish. No, that's super. And you guys both speaking at Blockchain Ireland Week.
We're
on the same panel.
Speaking about the metaverse. Yeah, that'd be
so
great.
We'll hear more about it there. So it's been a great chat today. Thank you so much. And isn't it funny how Aileen and I had to be connected from somebody from Ukraine? How bizarre is that? And we're all sitting here in Ireland.
So crazy. It's
it's
a global world.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't know people who are just a county away or in the same.
I know. Where are you actually, Aileen? Are you based in Ireland as well?
I'm here in Drumcondra, but I'm also in Dogpatch and
great.
In Paris once a month at the moment, but could be more. So yeah, everything Paris focused for us at the moment, which is nice. Great, yeah. Great. So I'm looking forward to watching on as well, Lisa.
Yeah, it'd be nice to meet you in person. A lot of people in person.
Exactly.
It should be amazing.
Yeah, in real life. So
I know.
Yeah,
that'd be great. And will you be there that day as well on the same day, Gillian? Are you coming?
Yes, I think we're certainly for the 2 days, maybe the whole 3. We'll see how we go. I haven't seen the lineup for day 3, but day 1 and 2, there's stuff going on. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Great. Well, listen, thank you for having me.
Thank you
And
very
thanks
much
for being here. Great.
Yeah, for saying hello and great to catch up on fashion. I'm actually, this is a lot of fun. Fashion in the metaverse is so much more fun. I like to look so beautiful. And I'm about 18, I think. That'll be to choose your age.
I know. And look, that's the next thing. How do people want to perceive themselves to others? And hopefully it won't become too overzealous and funny.
Okay, I'll keep my wrinkles.
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Like that's,
us Irish people will keep everyone in check. Don't bring them down a peg or two. No egos.
I'll be able to at least have a tan. I go for a bit of a tan.
Actually, I'll go for more colours, please. I'm always in blue or black.
Yeah, I'll go for non-holy clothes.
Yes. We'll get you some stitches.
Okay. I'm a disgrace. Dear. Anyway, nearly the hour. We've got places to be and babies to be cleaned and houses to be cleaned and whatever we need to do. I don't know. Thank you so much today. It was very interesting. Fashion in the metaverse. We'll have to stay tuned for more. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.
You too.